Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Know that I miss you. I wish we were doing this face to face, but we can't do that just yet, so we're just gonna have to keep hanging in there. I do have a question for you though. Have you ever wondered why there are so many different languages in the world? How did that happen? Was there a point in time where everybody spoke the same language? Certainly languages have adapted over the years. Some have even borrowed from other languages to form their own. But how did that happen? How did we get to this point where we have so many different languages? Behind me is this painting. It's a Norman Rockwell painting, not the original, obviously. But there's so many different ethnicities, so many different languages represented in just this one painting. And I thought it'd be a good picture to kind of, illustrate how there's, such diversity in the way we speak to each other. Well, in order to find out the answer to that question of how we came to that place right now, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. And that's what we're going to do. Stay tuned. All right, so way back in the beginning, all the way back, you had Adam and Eve, and they had kids who had kids who had kids who had kids who had kids, and so on. And then in Genesis chapter 6, we're introduced to a guy named Noah. Now, you've probably heard of him, and you guessed it, he also had kids. We'll get to that in a minute, though. But we learned that Noah lived at an extremely wicked time. Right? People were not following God. They were doing their own thing. And we read in Genesis chapter 6 that the Lord observed the extent of wickedness on the earth. I'm starting in verse 5. And he saw that everything they thought or imagined was consistently and totally evil. So the Lord was sorry that he ever made them and put them on the earth. It broke his heart. And the Lord said, I will wipe this human race I have created from the face of the earth. Yes, I will destroy every living thing, all the people, the large animals, the small animals that scurry along the ground, and even the birds of the sky. I am so sorry I ever made them. But verse 8 tells us, Noah found favor with the Lord. So God was essentially pressing the reset button on all of humanity because of their wickedness. They wanted nothing to do with God. They turned their backs on him. But Noah was different. We just learned that Noah found favor with the Lord. So God told him to go and build this massive ark, this huge ship, where he could then bring a pair of each animal on board with him. So Noah went and grabbed two of these, possibly two of these, definitely two of these also, and two of these. Hey, you guys want to go on the boat too? No? Okay. Unfortunately, the dinosaurs that made these tracks missed the boat. So once Noah, his family, and all the animals were on the ark safe and sound, we know the story. The rains came down, the floods came up. God flooded the entire planet, killing pretty much everything that wasn't on that boat. And about a year after that, if we fast forward a little bit, they're finally on dry land. They get off the ark. God tells them, be fruitful and multiply. So that's exactly what they did. They had kids who had kids who had kids who had kids, and once again, so on. And that's where we begin the next part of our story. So we then pick up in Genesis chapter 11, verse 1, where it says, at one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. They began saying to each other, let's make bricks and harden them with fire. In this region, bricks were used instead of stone, and tar was used instead of mortar. Then they said, come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. Let's stop right there. So here we have a group of people who have become extremely prideful, right? They're talking about, let's build something that makes us famous. Let's build something that makes us well known, where people will remember us. So they built this beautiful city, one that quickly became a tourist attraction. But rather than worship God, they're looking at themselves. They're looking at, look what we have done. We are amazing. Look what we have accomplished. And then they decide to build a tower that reaches to the sky, as if they could reach God with their own doing. This became known as the Tower of Babel, not to be confused with Babel. But there is some irony there, as we're about to find out. So let's check out a tower. Not the Tower of Babel, but maybe one a little bit similar. All right, sorry, it's a little windy up here. Looking at this tower, yes, we as human beings can accomplish great things. We can build amazing things, amazing infrastructures, but we can never reach God. As mentioned before, that's pride. That's pride. Just like my failed attempt of trying to climb that is the same thing when we try to reach God on our own doing. 1 John 2 verse 15 and on tells us, do not love this world nor the things it offers you. For when you love the world, you do not have the love of the Father in you. For the world offers only a craving for physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see. And right here is what we've seen in the story of those trying to build the Tower of Babel, a pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but are from this world. And this world is fading away, along with everything that people crave. But anyone who does what pleases God will live forever. Listen, nothing that we make, build, or even own is going to last. None of it is going to withstand time. Proverbs 16 verse 18 tells us, pride goes before destruction and haughtiness before a fall. Right? If we are just taking pride in our achievements and the things that we were able to do, we're not focusing on God. And the scriptures just told us pride goes before destruction, before a fall. So let's look at the fall of those who tried to build the Tower of Babel. In verse 5, it says, but the Lord came down to look at the city and the tower the people were building. Look, he said, the people are united and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other. In that way, the Lord scattered them all over the world and they stopped building the city. This is why the city was called Babel, because that is where the Lord confused the people with different languages. In this way, he scattered them all over the world. So often we make the same mistake as those who tried building this tower, right? We try to reach God on our own, with our good works, our doing really good things, whatever the case may be. We try to reach God on our own, but the truth is nothing we could ever do will bring us to God's level. We're just not able to get there. Paul states in Romans chapter 3 verse 10 that there is no one righteous, not even one. Isaiah 64:6 tells us our righteous deeds are like filthy rags. And I'm not going to get into what those filthy rags are actually talking about, but you can look that up on your own. But that's what our righteous deeds are, the best things that we could do always only equal to filthy rags. So what now? Are we doomed? Are we doomed? No, we're not. God knew we had no chance of reaching him. So that's why he sent his son to us, right? Jesus, God in human form, came down to earth to give us a chance to be right with God. You see, he knows that people are prone to make mistakes. He knows that we have a sinful nature, right? We don't have to be taught to do what is wrong. And that so often we become prideful, right? So prideful in our possessions, prideful in our accomplishments, just like those who built this tower. But God loves us regardless. So much, though, that he sent Jesus to die as a sacrifice in our place. So that when it comes time for us to leave this world, we can reach God. Not because of what we did, but because of what he did. So listen, no matter what language you speak, I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you. Put your faith and trust in Jesus. Cry out to him. I don't know where you are spiritually right now, but reach out to Jesus. God sent him down for you because he loves you. That's all I got for you guys. Listen, be sure to join us on our Zoom meeting on Thursday at 4 p.m. I can't wait to see you all. Hope you're having a great week. Hope you're staying safe. I'll see you then.